If you're thinking about buying your first camera but feel overwhelmed by all the different online opinions, the different specs, the different brands that are out there, then this video is for you. Today I want to talk about the 10 important things that I would consider if I was buying my first camera today. I was just in this position just a few months ago when I was buying my very first camera in November of last year. And so today I kind of wanted to just sit down and share the things that I thought through when buying my very first camera. When you're thinking about buying your very first camera, you need to understand that purpose matters. Are you going to be shooting video, or are you going to be shooting more photo? Do you need really good autofocus, or do you want better picture quality and colors? Understanding the different niches of photography and videography as well, and what type of things you would like to shoot can help determine what camera you should get. Do you need a more weatherproof, rugged build for shooting wildlife or landscapes? Or do you just need something compact so that you can shoot travel or street photography? Or do you need something a little more professional so you can shoot more sports or even product photography as well? Honestly, understanding what the purpose of this camera will be will help you when determining what to buy for your very first camera. Next, I want to talk about APS-C versus full-frame cameras. First off, the difference between the two is that APS-C cameras are smaller than full-frame cameras because they have a crop sensor. This allows them to be smaller in size and have smaller lenses that pair with them. APS-C cameras are a great place to start off, especially when you're a beginner, because like I said, they are smaller, they're more compact, and they definitely are cheaper than the full-frame alternatives. If you do have the budget to afford a full-frame camera, then I would absolutely suggest going for it. However, like I said, it will come with a bigger camera body and the lenses will be more expensive. Full frame does have a bigger sensor, so it will allow in more light into the camera sensor, giving your footage a little bit of a higher quality look, and it will allow a little bit better bokeh, especially when shooting at faster apertures. But like I said, you can't go wrong with either of these. APS-C cameras are more compact, they have smaller lenses that pair with them, and overall when you're buying an APS-C camera body and the lens, they are cheaper than full frame. However, if you do have the budget and do want a full frame camera, then I definitely suggest going for it. They are great for professional work, so if you're looking to do more professional work with your camera, I definitely suggest looking at them if you can afford it. But if not, like I said, APS-C is great as well. Next, I want to talk about DSLRs versus mirrorless cameras. You probably had a DSLR laying around your house when you were growing up because DSLRs were really popular in the early 2000s and they still are great cameras today. The main difference between a DSLR and a mirrorless camera is the fact that a DSLR camera does actually have a mechanical mirror inside the camera that reflects what you see through the optical viewfinder. However, in a mirrorless camera, like the name suggests, there isn't actually a mechanical mirror within the camera body. Instead, the light from the image goes straight to the sensor and is processed digitally through the electric viewfinder. Today, there are still some really great DSLR cameras that are out there that you can use, especially for photo, and they will still produce really great quality images for you. And if you're able to get one for a really good price, then I do suggest going with a DSLR if you do want to be more on a budget. However, mirrorless cameras are more modern technology. They do have a lot better autofocus, and I do suggest that if you are wanting to be in photography or videography for more of the long run, I do suggest getting a mirrorless camera so that you can kind of future-proof yourself for the upcoming years, and so that you can easily find better lenses and honestly elevate your production level as you continue to grow, especially when you buy your first camera. So if you really are on a budget, go with a DSLR, but if you're wanting to do more stuff in the future and want to future-proof yourself for that, then I definitely suggest looking at a mirrorless camera. Next, and one of the most important things to think about when buying your first camera is choosing the right brand or ecosystem for you. Nowadays, there are so many different brands out there to choose from. There is Sony, Canon, Fujifilm, Nikon, Lumix, there's Leica. If you're really expensive, there's Leica, Hasselblad, Insta360, DJI. Like, so many brands make cameras nowadays. So choosing the right brand from the start will really help you save some money and be committed to one ecosystem. And what I mean by that is that all of these brands have a lens mount that is specific to them. So for example, Sony has the E mount and Fujifilm has the X mount, and all the other brands have their own mounts for their lenses. So with that, you can only have a specific lens that matches that type of mount. So for example, with the Sony E mount, you will have to have a lens that is compatible with that E mount. So that narrows it down to the specific lenses that you can use with that camera, and that's what I mean by choosing the right ecosystem. All of these brands have the lens mounts, but some brands have more lens options than others. For example, Sony has a lot of different third-party lens options from like Tamron or Sigma, Viltrox, and same for other brands as well, but it really just depends on what lens mount you choose, and that really will determine what lens options you have in front of you. And that leads me to my next point, is the fact that lenses, honestly, for image quality, lenses are more important than camera body. And there's a saying in the photography world to date the camera body but marry the lens. And what most people mean by that is that when you do buy a lens can last you a lifetime. A lens can last you so much longer than a camera body can, because camera body technology is always improving. Camera companies are always releasing new cameras every 2 to 3 years nowadays, and lens technology doesn't evolve as quickly as camera bodies do. So when you do buy a lens, it is a longer term investment, and you can hold on to your lens for a lifetime, or for even like 10 to 15 years. So understanding that lenses can be held on to longer than camera bodies will really make a difference, especially like I said, when choosing the different ecosystem that you want to be in, whether it's the Sony ecosystem or the Fujifilm ecosystem or whatever ecosystem it is. Just understanding that you are technically committing to buying lenses for that mount, and if you do end up switching brands, it may cost you a little bit to sell the equipment that you already have, especially if you do have a lot of lenses. So if you're a beginner and you're deciding what camera to buy first, I definitely recommend doing some research to figure out which lenses you would like to get with that camera and which ecosystem makes the most sense for you. Next, I want to answer the question that I had when I first was looking at cameras, and that is, do megapixels actually matter? If you're more of a tech nerd like myself, then you might find yourself drawn to the cameras with the higher megapixel count or the higher specs, but megapixels are mainly for photo focused people. So if you're doing a lot more videography and you want to mainly do video, then megapixels don't really matter, because the resolution will be determined by the video settings like 4K, HD, or 6K. Depending on what you're shooting, you can determine the resolution through those settings. But if you are a beginner and you're not going to be doing super intensive photo work and not going to be doing super big prints or cropping into your photos that much, then megapixels, as long as you have around 20 to 30 megapixels in your camera, you'll be just fine for photography, because most cameras with that many megapixels would produce amazing work, especially for a beginner. Another thing to think about when talking about megapixels is the fact that the bigger the megapixels are, the larger the file size. So if you're not able to store a lot of these massive files, then I would suggest getting a camera that has a little less megapixels so that your files are a lot easier to manage. So those are a couple things to think about when deciding how many megapixels you want in your camera. Alright, next I want to talk about some features that are nice to have, and honestly, depending on what you do shoot, they might be a must need for you as well. So let's dive into it really quickly. First up is autofocus. And autofocus is basically your camera's ability to track a moving subject and keep it sharp and in focus while you are shooting a video or a photo. So this can come in really handy for beginners, especially when you're trying to avoid any blurry shots or any sort of things like that. As a beginner, you won't have to manually focus your camera. You can just set it into autofocus and know that it'll be catching the subject that you are trying to shoot in focus and really sharp. And this is very helpful, especially for beginners. If you are doing any sort of vlogs, shooting any types of sports photography, videography, or any just moving subjects in general, you can be able to know that you can depend on your camera to do all the heavy lifting for you and keeping your subject in focus. And the next feature I want to talk about is IBIS, and that essentially stands for Internal Body Image Stabilization, and that is your camera body's feature that helps you stabilize your footage, and it helps minimize any of those micro jitters that you may have when shooting any handheld video or even shooting slow shutter photo shots as well. And so this feature is not always a must-have for photographers, because for photography you can have a higher shutter to minimize some of that shake and things like that. But if you are going to be shooting a lot more slow shutter or more video, I definitely recommend trying to get a camera that does have IBIS built into it so that it can minimize some of that micro shakes. Next is having log profiles, and these are mainly for video shooters. It basically is like the raw file of your video footage, and it really gives you a flat gray looking profile, and this helps you be able to color grade in post and really be able to push your colors to the max when color grading. And so if you do want to do a lot more videography work, then I do suggest looking at a camera that has a log profile. But most cameras nowadays do come with that. Even APS-C cameras that are a little bit older have log profiles as well. So they're not that hard to find, but if you do want to do a lot more video work, definitely look into getting a camera that has some log profiles. Next, I want to talk about dual card slots, and this is mainly for professional shooters, and it's essentially the feature that allows you to plug in 2 different SD cards into your camera, and this gives you sort of like a backup for your camera to where you can have the photos or the videos that you're shooting be backed up to 2 different SD cards. So if one of your SD cards fails or gets corrupted, then you have another one for backup. And like I said, this feature is mainly for pro shooters, so as a beginner it may be nice to have if you do want to do more pro level work, but it is definitely not a must-have for most beginners. And then the last feature that I wanted to talk about in this section is weather sealing. And this really just depends on what type of content you will be shooting. So if you are going to be outdoors a whole lot, if you're going to be shooting a lot more wildlife or landscapes, things like that where rain can be a big factor and you may need to shoot in the elements, even if you're doing like sports, photography, videography, you may want to look into getting a camera that does have weather sealing. This just allows you to have that peace of mind knowing that your camera can handle the elements like the rain, snow, or whatever it may be. So if you are going to be shooting a lot in those types of conditions, then I definitely recommend looking at getting a weather sealed camera. Next, I want to talk about a few things that can help you save a little bit of money when you're buying your first camera. And the first thing is buying used instead of buying new gear. And a lot of beginners overlook this because they think they have to buy the newest product that just came out or that everyone's shooting with, and that's not necessarily the case. Especially as a beginner, if you do want to save some money, then I definitely suggest getting a used camera. And there are so many great platforms out there that sell used gear, like B&H Photo sells some good ones, KEH. There's so many online platforms out there nowadays, and make sure you do some research before you buy used gear. I know you can also go on Facebook Marketplace to get gear there as well, but just be cautious because sometimes people will promise a product and send you a completely different product, or they might send you a complete scam. So just be cautious when using those platforms as well. But I definitely suggest, if you do want to save extra money, buying some used gear as a beginner. Next, when thinking about budget, you should definitely think about all the accessories you will be purchasing when you buy a camera. When you buy a camera, you're not just buying a camera body and a camera lens and then going out and shooting. You have to think about all the different accessories that you may need to purchase to pair alongside your camera. You need to think about things like SD cards, extra batteries, a mic if you're going to be shooting video, just different accessories like a strap, or a wrist strap. So thinking about all these things and factoring in what you actually need, especially for what you're going to be shooting, will be essential to understanding what your budget should be, because there are so many things to think about and you may not need all of those things to start off with. But the one accessory that you will definitely need when buying your first camera is having a good SD card, because the SD card is what you will be using to store all of your footage or the photos that you take. And so having a good SD card and having that baked into your budget as well will be very crucial, especially when buying your first camera. Next, if you're really on the fence between two different camera bodies or two different brands that you can't really choose from, then my biggest advice for you would be to go out and rent those two different camera bodies and to really figure out which one you actually enjoy shooting with more. This is something most beginners don't really know, but there are websites out there where you can rent a camera for a specific amount of time. You can rent it for a day, 2 days, even up to like 2 weeks, I believe, and you can go out and test those two different camera bodies that you are in between, and this really will help you figure out what you actually enjoy shooting with, whether you want to figure out if you enjoy shooting with Sony or Fuji, or if you just want to get a feel for the different cameras that are out there. Then I definitely suggest going out and renting those cameras for about a week, just so you can figure out what you actually enjoy about that camera and what makes that camera right for you. My last piece of advice that I would love to give to all the beginners out there that want to buy their first camera is to honestly just buy the camera that inspires you to pick it up and go out and shoot. You don't need the camera with the highest specs or the best features or anything like that. You just need a camera that inspires you to pick it up and go out and create content, capture memories, just all of that. Like, the camera is meant for you to be able to document your life, capture these memories, and so whatever camera you end up choosing, just choose one that really inspires you to go out and do the things that you enjoy doing and documenting those experiences as well. And my bonus tip for you all as well is to just do it. I know that what held me back a lot was I kept telling myself, once I save up enough money or once I get out of college and I have enough money, I will buy myself a camera. But at the end of the day, I feel like I waited a little too long and I should have bought a camera earlier on so that I could have those memories from the years that I missed out on. So I encourage those of you who have been hesitant and have not pulled the trigger on your first camera yet to just go out and do it. Once you know what you need and you find the camera that fits all your needs, then save up for it. And once you have that money for it, just go out and do it and stop waiting for the perfect camera to release or anything like that. Just go for it and just buy the one that fits all of your needs. If you were wondering what I ended up getting, I did get the Fujifilm X-S20. I really enjoy this camera. It is an APS-C camera that is a hybrid camera from Fuji, and I've loved filming with this camera and taking photos with it. And honestly, I have no regrets at all. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you found this video helpful, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you are a more professional or intermediate photographer, videographer, please add anything down below for any of our beginners out there. I want to help support those that are trying to get into photo and video, and like I said, I went through a lot of these things, so any knowledge that we can share with the beginners out there is just super helpful to the community that we have here. I would really appreciate that, and learning from some other experienced photographers and videographers is something I don't take for granted at all. So thank you guys so much, and if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.